Hi guys, Kelly Harris here, Global Director of Training for LC Power Tools. Today I'm going to do a little run through video of some of the features of the UDOS 51E. So let's start with number one. I don't know if you noticed there, we have different handles. The UDOS 51E comes with the medium size handle, this being the medium size, straight out the box. But what we have is an optional extra. We have a small handle and a large handle. So what I'm showing here is the three sizes of handles. So what we've done is designed and manufactured choices for different size handles, different preferences. Let's go on to feature two. I will pick this UDOS up again. There's a rubber bumper here and here, which you can see on these. There's a rubber bumper. It's a soft rubber bumper, which means when you lay it down flat, there, it doesn't fall over. And of course, it's what we call non-marring rubber. So it's not hard, it's not rough, it's not going to mar surfaces when you lay it down. It gives it some sort of cushion to it that it's nice and soft. So that's feature two. So let's run through some of the other features. What we have, you can see there, is a variable speed controller. So obviously that means we can polish in all the different modes, which we'll get onto in a minute, at a variable speed to whatever your preference. Now it has got a soft start trigger, so you can pull the trigger gently and you can actually run at half speed. And so it's maximum speed, whatever you've dialed in on the dial there, with full trigger, and then it's a variable speed. But don't think you have to hold that continuously, because on the other side, conveniently, there's a lock button. So when you pull that and press that button, it locks. To release the lock, you just squeeze the trigger. The biggest feature, and the last feature, is the modes. It's called 51E or 5-in-1E. E for electric and 5-in-1. This is actually 5 machines in one. What we've actually got on here on the selector, this one's actually in position 3 at the moment. We've got different ones on there, but basically we've got position 2, position 1, S for sanding, and then R for rotary. Now what does the P1, P2, P3 mean? It is a variable orbit. So our rotary is just a rotary action. It's a non-orbit, it's a rotational machine that many people have been using rotaries for years in all different industries. Then we've got S for sanding, which is actually a DA action, so it's an 8mm orbit. Then we switch up to P1, which is a 12mm orbit, so it's still a dual action machine, so it's orbiting and rotating. Then we've got P2, which is 15mm, which is exactly the same again, it's just a larger orbit. And then finally P3, which is your 21mm orbit. So basically, this machine covers every single other machine that exists really on the market, but all in one. So we just spoke about the orbits. So let's go to P3, the 21. So I'm going to go right round simply to P3, and now it's in a very large orbit. So P3 is 21mm. Why would I choose P3 over, say, P1 12mm? We've almost doubled. So from a 12mm to a 21, you've nearly doubled the size of the orbit. So it's a simple thing, the cutting action, as the circles that get larger, the dual action machine gets larger, you actually get a more aggressive cut. So I choose to use a smaller orbit, or P1, refining surfaces, or black soft paint. If I really had, say, hard paint, really deeply marred, maybe in your sort of marine gel coats, I'd switch back up to 21mm, which is the P3 mode. And in the 21, you get this most aggressive cutting action for a dual action machine. We obviously can even switch up to a larger one again. We could go to the rotary. So we can, if this really was struggling at P3, and I really wanted to switch back up into something even more aggressive than that, I could go right round to the rotary mode. So in that rotary mode now, I've got the heaviest cut. So I have 5 potential cut levels all on one machine, all selectable through this collar. So I'm not picking up lots of different machines. I don't need to unplug the machine. I'm just sticking with one machine and I can flick between the modes. That did bring a new challenge to LC Power Tools, in that traditionally you would always have lots of pads. Now you can see behind me, their sister company, Lake Country Manufacturing, they do offer a lot of pads. That's because there's a lot of machines on the market that only have one mode, one orbit. So with that, when you've only got one mode, one orbit, you always, for years, had to have 5, 10, 15 different pads and multiple compounds, which meant you was carrying lots of pads around, lots of compounds around, and even lots of machines. So now we've got the one machine with 5 modes. it would seem crazy to then not utilise the modes and have multiple pads. So what LC Power Tools have done, we have made 3 specific pads just for the UDOS 51E. So we have a heavy cut, sort of light polishing, medium cut and a finishing cut. I can now put that pad on there and I have a choice basically of 5 modes. I'm actually saying the sanding mode I might use. We're sort of suggesting that the sand is stuck for sanding, so you've got 4 modes, but there's nothing wrong with using the 8mm if you want to, because you might have been used to your older style first GA machines that come out which were an 8mm orbit. So as I say, once I put that on there, I can create 5 different cut levels with that one pad. Of course that does mean I can do the same with this. It's no different. So what I've essentially got is now I have with this machine, the UDOS 51E, and those 3 pads, I have 15 choices of cut level before I experiment with compounds. So you imagine how compact or efficient this is to carry that around compared to having 3-4 different machines and multiple pads. The challenge was to make these pads work on a rotary and a dual action. So I have an example here, conveniently put in my drawer ready. So as an example, we'll leave this there. We've been talking about this wall pad here. So any guys out there that know, and girls that know about polishing, would understand that when you've got a dual action machine and it's doing this, when you've got long fibres, the fibres flop side to side. So that means this would work very well in a dual action mode. It is really, that wall pad is great for rotary, because once it's spinning in one direction, it doesn't flop, and you get good cut level. Lake Country Manufacturing did also make a short pile. So now the short pile will work very well on a dual action machine because there's hardly any lateral movement. There's no side to side movement. So now you can see what they've done here. LC Power Tools, we have made a wall pad, because we all know that wall cut's very, very aggressive. So it's a short pile wall pad. So that means we can now use it in a rotary and in a dual action mode, and we get the best of both. This and this is combined into one. So we've made it even more efficient. You've just got your 3 pads, 1 machine. So it's an ideal machine for on the go, on the fly, for in the workshop. It's compact, simple. You could carry that around in a backpack or any sort of backpack you've got, or bag or suitcase, wherever, if you're doing mobile detailing. That is a very portable, simple system. Hopefully that's made sense. Hopefully it's covered some of your questions. Obviously, as always, thank you for watching. Hopefully it's been of some help. I'm Kelly Harris, Global Director of Training for LC Power Tools. Thank you very much and goodbye.